So that's how Frank ended. Now, the reason I told you about Frank is because Rhonda was deeply in love with Frank, and Rhonda was the one covered in blood there. Completely shocked, has no freaking idea why there's a dead dude, what the fuck is going on. But I want to tell you her story of what she went through. So there's like 2 episodes kind of like smashed together. You guys okay with that? All right. So Frank was a friend of Wayne Henley, who became a quote brother stand-in to Rhonda. So now Wayne, the one who told him let's do the handcuff trick, is now the kind of the father figure, if you will, of Rhonda. Who Rhonda was a great girl, a good girl, but her dad hated her, threw her out. She had nowhere to go. No one wanted her. She was just not wanted.
There were issues there.
There were very bad issues. Actually, to further that point, her father put her in one foster home and she was transferred to one to the next. She was actually put on probation at one point for, kind of leaving, jumping out the window, run away type of stuff, doing a little bit of drugs. And this is what the Houston Press, when they interviewed her.
So Rhonda had to go talk to a shrink who told her how to get her father to love her. She'd always remember the advice, what you need to do is go home and cook dinner every night and every day, clean the house, and your dad will love you.
So
great advice.
Wow. Jesus.
This is the girl Rhonda, who it took 40 years for her to say, you know what? I'm fucking tired of hiding behind this shadow. I am important. I suffered through a terrible ordeal and I need to talk about it. And people are going to listen to me because this isn't 1970s and I'm not going to be just told to shut up and get along with my life. I mean, look at this shrink. Oh, you want your dad to love you? Go home and cook for him. Who the fuck? Like, seriously?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So obviously you can tell she didn't come out for 40 years. What? Look at the advice she's getting.
Yeah.
No one even interviewed her for 40 years. No one gives a shit about her.
Shocking to me.
I mean, she was there the night. She was the only surviving female of Dean Corll. The other guy who we're going to talk about is the only surviving male. All right. So a little bit about her and Wayne. After Frank is killed and murdered, her fiance, the love of her life, Wayne becomes kind of her confidant, and not sexual relationship, but just like a mentor, which is really fucked up because he's the one that ultimately killed Frank, So is the guy a good guy or a bad guy? I don't know.
Right.
You tell me. This night, Dean pulls up in his van and he looks pretty pissed. He looks pissed because Wayne had just ridden his bike with Rhonda. They had just got back from the hospital together, or the shrink. They just got back from the shrink together. Dean pulls up and spots them two, and he's looking pissed. He's looking pissed because he does not like females at all. Women ruin everything. I get it, bro. Women are the... I know,
but they smell
dude.
great.
I know, but dude, you know how, dude, we would probably have colonized so many other planets by now and being so productive if women wasn't a thing.
But you know what? It's physically impossible for y'all.
No, not anymore. It's 2023, man.
No, I think it actually goes, women don't need men.
No, we can.
That's how that works.
Literally clone fucking goats and shit. And we've done that like in the 90s.
Yeah, it's really women that don't need men.
See, I read somewhere
You do need men though.
that we have the same, like, how starfish can and salamanders can like regenerate. We have the same DNA sequence, but like it's not turned on for us or something. That I read that recently.
Interesting.
Got to find the turn on button.
The van pulls up. Dean looks pissed. He's like, whatever, get in. She gets in. She notices a few things. There's hooks everywhere, nylon straps, cork boards mounted to the side of the van. That's soundproofing. There was a large box right there in the van. That's what she was sitting on. And Rhonda would spend the rest of her adult life thinking about the brief ride for 2 reasons. And this is from the Houston Post. One was, would Wayne have said something if Dean hadn't come along? And the other was there a body in that box? That box was the exact same box where the detective pulled the human hair out. So they arrived around 3 a.m. It's really late, but the 911 call came in after 8. Dean Corll made this huge stink about Rhonda being there. You weren't supposed to bring any girl now here, he is having such a tantrum. Quote, God damn you, you ruined everything. Wayne Henley's like, she has no place to go. She's fine. She's not going to ruin anything. Just please calm down. He's screaming the whole night. He goes off into his own bedroom and he shuts the door and locks him there. So now you have the three people that are there. You have Rhonda, Wayne Henley, and the other guy, Tim Carey, which, I'm not going to really get into him a lot. He is a survivor, yeah. So they start the party. It's 3 a.m. They're drinking moonshine. They're huffing acrylic paint. They spend about 2 hours huffing paint and they would pass out on the floor. And I guess that's what you did. Wayne Henley wakes up a few hours later and notices that both his ankles are latched together. They're tied together, chained together. His wrists are tied together too, and he is completely handcuffed and he can't move. He's like, what the fuck? Dean walks in there and gives him a kick and says,
man, you blew it bringing that girl. Now I'm gonna fix you up. I'm gonna kill you all, but first I'm gonna have my fun.
So,
all right.
When he finally comes to, Wayne, he's handcuffed, he's shackled, he looks over, he sees this guy, Tim. He is butt naked on that torture device, this one right here. He is face down, butt naked, spread eagle. Nylon ropes are around his thighs, and he is butt naked. He is trying to scream, but he can't because the gag's in his mouth. And this is what Wayne sees when he wakes up. But then he notices that he's tied up. Dean comes in there and says, you really ruined this shit. There was supposed to be no women here. I mean, he's just having a tantrum, right? All right.
Tina asked for clarification. Was this after they killed Frank?
Yeah. This is 6 months after, yeah.
6 months after? Wow.
Yeah. I know I'm
all still hanging out after 6 months. Like, hey, what's wrong? Let's just get high. Yeah, that's cool. Who's going to die tonight? I don't know.
Well, there you go. So,
I kind of feel like now my first impression was he was an accomplice and maybe not like, yeah.
Oh, excuse me. 17 months after. I didn't mean 6. Yeah, this was 17 months after. Yeah.
Dang.
So a lot of deaths.
But it's like it's almost like he didn't care about what happened until he was put in that situation, and so now.
So he knew. Good point. He knew for 17 months that
at least somebody died.
Dean was killing. Right.
Yeah.
He knew, but at that point, I mean,
he was getting money for it. So it was good for him.
I mean, it's good for him, but at the same time, like Dean was a father figure to him. And we're going to get into Dean's background and everything like that. But this story is more on Wayne. Like, I want you to decide if Wayne is
I just made the decision.
Yeah, he's responsible.
I would say.
I mean, it sounds like.
But also like Stockholm syndrome and shit,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but again, like he had plenty of opportunities to do something about it sooner, and it sounds like maybe he didn't until he was put in the situation where he was in prison.
Right. And now it's like, oh, this is wrong. Yeah. What were you doing?
Oh, big mistake.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this. So you know Wayne Henley.
I don't know him.
Never met him.
He's the one that we're kind of talking about on this story. So he's guilty or whatever. Now, he was young at the time. He's a teenager. What's his sentence? I mean, he knew about this. And now he didn't actually ever help kill. He just helped bury, and he knew about it. He was obviously getting money. He was a trafficker. He was bringing boys. He was the guy, him and this other guy, David Brooks, they were bringing the boys to this guy, the Candyman.
Well, real quick, like thinking about from a movie perspective or making this a movie, just real quickly, in the movie I made, you get these people at a cabin and one of them beats his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. But there's a point in the movie where you're actually cheering for this guy.
Yeah.
Because, so now you're cheering for this guy because it's the only one that could maybe get you out of it,
Yes.
as an audience member,
yes.
right?
Yes.
But even he's a piece of shit.
Yes.
But it's the best piece of shit you have.
That's right. 100%.
So, right.
100%.
So the whole time this is going to happen, what we're going to talk about the whole thing. Rhonda is passing in and out. And from what I've seen, it's not because of the paint huffing or whatever. It's because she's been going through, before this, she's been to this foster home, to the next. She always gets kicked out. But here's the thing that they never really talk about. The foster fathers are the ones that, come into her room at night. You know what I'm saying? But it is a 70s, so that's her fault. That's her fault. I feel really terrible.
Hold on, rage
for her.
uploading. 1 second.
I feel really terrible for her.
Terrible.
the fact that no one cared about her for 40 years, but I feel bad for her. But
also, fostering a human is a lot different than fostering an animal. So, like, if you're not a decent human, you shouldn't be fostering an animal or another human.
Yeah.
That's just my PSA.
I'm going to kill you all, but first I'm going to have my fun. Everyone wakes up, and this is like a horror movie. Everyone wakes up and they're all shackled. They're all fucking handcuffed. Like, literally, like, did this guy drug them? Maybe. I mean, they were drinking moonshine, like straight from the jug. Maybe there was a drug in there. They would just, huffing paint, and I guess you pass out when you huff paint. Maybe we can try it later. But
I actually did buy moonshine today.
Did you? It's not the real shit, though.
From Houston?
Not from Houston.
We got the real shit if you want it.
Yeah, we actually do have the real shit.
I have some apple pie moonshine at my place.
I got 2 different kinds.
That's not real shit, though.
No, but it had the fruit in it, and I was like,
if it's fruity flavored, is not fucking moonshine.
No, she's saying it has fruit in it so that the fruit you can eat it.
Yeah.
After.
Well, then that's not goddamn moonshine. Then
I did get peach.
It's not a fucking parfait. It's fucking moonshine.
I got
parfaits may be the best damn food of all time,
and I got pineapple.
Everyone loves a parfait.
Where does the candy man come in?
He is the candy man.
Yeah, like, but we haven't seen any candy unless he's enticing people with his van with like, come get the candy, my children.
Which, like, they tell us not to get into cars with strangers as kids, but now we pay strangers to take us places. Like, they don't
do that. Yeah.
Well, so
and our food.
The way I do these stories, I like to string people along, and
so you're not going to reveal this just yet.
I mean, I like to focus on like one thing at a time, and plus I'm not done researching everything yet.
Okay. Feel like I'm not done with this.
Like, I still got one book I got to finish on it, what I'm saying? But I will tell you, the candy corporation, the candy man comes in because he was a
chocolatier.
Not chocolatier. Yeah, I guess a chocolatier, but he would sell
I Love
other
Lucy episode.
He would sell other candies. Yeah. So the Corll Candy Company was his family's establishment.
Oh, we didn't know that.
And the reason, and I'll get to this in the next episode, but the Dean Corll, when he came back from his military career, he worked as a candy producer in his parents' factory, right? And which was also really close to the elementary school, Helm Elementary School. So the kids would, and he loves little kids.
Oh, that's
like sexually.
Oh,
I mean,
like
obviously.
that.
So which was crazy, right? Anyway,
the way you said it, they're like, he loves kids.
Well, here you go.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here you go. Do you know, obviously you guys know if you see a van that says like free candy on it, it's a joke.
Yeah.
But where do you think that comes from? It comes from this.
Oh, does it really?
This story is where that comes from.
Do you realize that in your YouTube, it says subscribe for free candy? Is that where you got it from? Yeah.
So the elementary school kids would come up to the Corll Candy Company, and they would come up to the front door because he would give them candy. He would give them broken candy that he couldn't sell. He would stuff their pockets with candy. Oh. That's how he's a candy man. But I was going to get to that on the next episode. We're not finished with this one. You're just like everyone else. You just want to bypass.
I just wanted to know how he got the name.
Mm-hmm. At this point, all 3 of them wake up and they're shackled. Individually, they're handcuffed. Tim is actually face down, spread eagle, naked on the torture board. Okay. And they're all just wondering what the fuck is going on. And that's when Rhonda starts hearing this screaming. Now, this screaming is like from a madman just having a tantrum, but it's also just like, why did you do this? Why did you ruin my life? Type of shit. And this is what she says in her interview in 2008.
She had never heard her dad shout like that. It seemed worse than the punishment he meted out when the girls were younger, when he would line them up against the wall and whip them with a belt. Judy got it first, and she got it bad. Lynn got it light. Whatever energy Ben had left, he expended on Rhonda.
So we're telling this story through Rhonda. Rhonda is the girl on the torture bed. That's her official title. That's what people call her. But she hears all this screaming. Dean comes over to Wayne, and he unshackles him. Not his hands, but just his feet. So now Wayne is up, and she's kind of getting weird. Like, because this is her best friend. Like, forget about Wayne sending these these boys of Dean's. Forget about that. Like, she doesn't know about that.
Right.
She just knows this guy, Wayne, who is a sweet guy who, when Frank went missing, he was there to be like, hey, he probably hitchhiked somewhere and he doesn't love you. You need to move on. He was there. So at this point, she's kind of like, why is he not handcuffed as well? Like, why is he walking around? Why is he interacting with this Dean? Like, what are they doing? So at this point, Rhonda passes out again. She'll do this many times this night. And it's not passing out from any drugs or anything. It's like a learned response from her foster home, from this foster home to that foster home. When the foster dad comes in there and has his way with her, she kind of learned to disassociate, kind of leave her body. And that's what she's doing now. And that's what she'll continue to do, which is in sharp contrast to Tim, who is screaming at the top of his lungs for help, screaming bloody murder. And she is just completely silent, but disassociated. All right. At this point, she notices Wayne, like, her friend, her confidant, is pacing back and forth. Obviously, he's worried about something. He's coming in and out of the room that she's in. In one hand, he has a pint of moonshine. In the other hand, he has that paper bag with the paint in it, and he's huffing it. He's just really worried, and he's just trying to calm Dean down and trying to get the situation kind of calm. Dean, at that point, comes into the room where Rhonda's in, and he says that he wants to torture her. So she just heard this, like, let's torture her right now. Wayne goes down and he orders Wayne to get her. He's like, pick her up, let's go torture her. Wayne said he can't pick her up. He's only a teenager, he can't pick her up. Dean walks over there and scoops her up with one arm. He's a kind of a bigger guy. Scoops this girl up. She's handcuffed and shackled, scoops her up, one arm, and then brings her into the next room, the room with tarp all over the place. And Dean throws her on this torture board, the same one that the other boy was on. This one right here, the same one. So she's like thrown on there, just out of nowhere, just tossed on there. At this point, Dean is just so mad because Rhonda's the one that ruined everything. Dean fucking hates women, hates females. He wants boys, and he had his whole night planned. He had Wayne there. He had Tim, who, he was going to have his way with Tim. Tim was the target, right? Tim was a $200. Let's ship him to California, Rabbit Ears quote or whatever. Let's ship him to California, and Dean's going to rape him and murder him. Tim was the guy. But why the fuck is Rhonda here? Rhonda was screwing everything up, and he was so mad about it. He was throwing a tantrum. He goes over there and he just kicks Rhonda in the stomach as hard as he can.
Rhonda felt the air escape from her lungs and wanted to scream in agony, but her mouth was gagged so tightly that she could barely move her lips.
He then returns and he crouches beside Tim. Now, Tim is spread eagle on this board, and he puts his hand between Tim's legs and pushes him on his stomach. And Tim starts to resist. Dean punches him right in the back of the head, right in the back of the neck, punches him multiple times. He straddles him and says what's about to happen. And he says the following.
Here's what's going to happen now, boys and girls. Wayne is going to have sex with you, Rhonda, while I'm going to enjoy young Timothy over there. Then we are going to murder the both of you.
So he says that to them. They're both in the same room now. Like, he just threw Rhonda down on top of Tim, kicked her. She kind of rolls over. She's still handcuffed. He is now completely naked. You saw his naked body. He is completely naked, erect, ready to fuck, and he straddles Tim and says, this is what's going to happen. Wayne is going to have his way with Rhonda, and I'm going to take care of Tim here, and then we're going to murder you. So imagine you hearing that. You're handcuffed, you're shackled, can't move, and someone says, I'm going to murder you after this. Like, jeez. Holy shit. Imagine that. That's fucking terrible, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, Wayne actually crouches, because Wayne is supposed to rape Rhonda. That was his instructions. But he is kind of like a father figure to her, like a best friend confidant. He couldn't do it. He crouches beside her and says, don't worry, I'm going to get you out of here. And then she's like, when? Like, what the, when? Do something. He says later, quote, I would like to think that it was because she trusted me. Wayne will say years later, the belief that she trusted me is what gave me the push I needed to do something. So we know that Dean Corll is dead. So we know that something happened. We know that Wayne called 911, said he killed somebody and that it was Dean. So So we know that he had the courage somewhere. All right. At this point, Rhonda passes out. Now, this is like the 4th time she's passed out, but she does it as her mind does it as a safety mechanism to just get her out. It's kind of like when I hear a lot of people, like I've heard this before, if you jump off a building or something, a lot of people die before they hit the ground.
I have heard that.
Like they die from the shock before they even die from hitting the ground.
How do you prove that?
Can't. It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a really good question.
I'm dead.
There was a story that I want to do though. A guy thought that, there was life after death, and they hooked him up to these machines, and he was going to kill himself and then communicate beyond the grave. And it's like, that didn't happen.
Isn't that a movie? Isn't that a movie with Kiefer Sutherland and Flatliners?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
That's what they do. They keep killing themselves.
The Reanimator.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've heard of that movie.
Yeah. And Julia Roberts is in it.
Oh.
She's fucking hot. Oh, sorry.
But there is a neuroscientist who
He does this every week. I'm just letting you know.
there was a neuroscientist who didn't believe in life after death because science, and then he wrote a book about had a near-death experience.
And
I have the book.
what?
I didn't finish the book.
What the fuck, Jen? You kind of let us on there.
I got distracted.
Is there life after death or not? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what he says. There is life after death.
Okay.
Well, there you have it, friends.
We solved all of it.
And then I just read an article. I just read an article. I'm better with articles than books because they take less time.
Have you tried
Books are
audiobooks?
I haven't. So this article I read the other day was about a priest who he had a near-death experience, but he actually went to hell, and he said that people were like chained up like dogs and walking on all fours, and that Rihanna's Umbrella was playing on repeat.
That sounds like hell.
Yeah.
That sounds like an accurate description.
Yeah,
I don't
so-
know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's onto something.
He probably gets down there and notices there's no little boys down there. He's like, fuck, this is fucking hell. How am I supposed to ejaculate here? 'Cause
Okay.
priests-
All right. Can we
priests-
get back to the story
I understand your point.
There's been some scandals
thank
with
you.
priests.
We got
Yes,
it.
we understand.
Thank you.
Yes.
If you haven't heard,
Go ahead, rub it in, salt in the
in
wound.
Boston, there was a priest.
Make fun of the Catholic Bostonian and their faith.
Or
It's
two
fine.
or
We
three
got
or
it.
four.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, this guy is the one that you guys want to spin in jail. I mean, this is a teenager. He's paid a measly $200 to deliver these boys. He thinks they're going to California. He doesn't know that they're not,
But he does.
A little bit about Wayne, just really quick. He grew up in a terrible home, just like all the other ones in this story. He had acute asthma attacks. His grandfather was the only one that really cared about him. And he would later say, quote, they had a little dinner tray they put on the edge of the bed to hold cups. I like being there. I owe my life to them, end quote. His father was drunk. His father was drunk all the time. And when his grandfather finally passed away, when he was only 7, his life kind of went downhill. He dropped out of school at 9th grade, although they did test him, IQ test, and he had 126, which is pretty high. I don't know. Mine's probably like 160 or something. But anyway, his dad was a drunken, abusive father, and that was it. And he loved his father, but only on the rare occasions that he was sober. The reason I'm telling you this is because Wayne is a father figure to Rhonda, and Rhonda's sitting there, and she's wondering why Wayne is uncuffed, and now he's like, don't worry, I'm going to get you out of this. Dean is literally torturing Tim right next to them, and he is whispering in her ear, don't worry. What the fuck? How am I supposed to not worry?
Is he assaulting her while he's telling her not to worry?
No, he defied the order to do that. Dean said, torture her, rape her. He didn't because he couldn't, she's like a sister to him. So they started arguing. Dean and Wayne started arguing about this, and they go into the kitchen. And at this point, Rhonda passes out again, but she notices when she wakes up a few minutes later that there's some real loud music playing. Dean actually has this radio, this boom box that he uses quite often for his torture sessions. He basically turns it up as loud as it can go to muffle the screams of the kids getting raped. They're in the kitchen, and he orders Wayne to go and torture and rape this girl. And Wayne at this point, and he's ordering him with a 22 caliber pistol. He says right in his face, you are going to do this. You are going to do this or I'm going to kill you. So eventually he says, okay, yes, I will do this. I will do this for you. I will torture her and I will rape her and we'll kill her. Now she's hearing all this, right? She's hearing all this. So Wayne began begging for his life. He promised to torture and kill his 2 friends if Dean wanted him to. Quote, and this is in his Houston accent, quote, "I'll do anything you want me to, Dean, anything." So Dean finally removes the handcuffs off his wrist. Dean comes in and Rhonda, she just came to again and she hears this loud thump. He puts down this metal toolbox. It's all rusted. It's this old toolbox. Just blah. You can hear the tools rattling in their pliers, all kinds of shit. You know, I'm like, what's he doing with this? I mean, it is literally 5 a.m. in the morning. What is he doing with this? A huge thud. He puts it on the ground and in shock from what she thinks is about to happen to her, she passes out again because she knows that she's about to get tortured and there's this rusted old metal toolbox with shit just rattling around in it. Quote, "Cut off her clothes," end quote. That's what he ordered her. He hands Wayne this hunting knife and he starts ripping. Wayne goes down and starts cutting off her clothes. The one that died here is Dean. Everyone else was a survivor. Tim Curley later said in an interview with ABC, he described it as, quote, "absolute madness, terror," while Corll threatened to cut off Hurley's arm. He was threatening to cut off his arm. That's what this guy's going through. He's butt naked, spread out, handcuffed to a board. I showed you the board, the exact board.
It's not for tying shoes.
He's like face down, handcuffed to this board.
We don't know if your dad's version was for that either, but
it was. It was only the size of a shoe. Yes, it was. He literally traced the shoe and
now he is handcuffed to his board, butt naked. And now he hears Corll, who is a complete madman, threatening to cut off his arm. Like, what? You cut off my fucking arm? Like, what the fuck? He tells Wayne he better be prepared to rape Rhonda.
At some point, Dean had taken off his clothes, and he tells Wayne to strip Rhonda as well. Wayne puts a knife to Rhonda's belt and in a flash cuts the belt, jeans, and panties. He's about to do the same to her shirt, but she says, "Please no, it's her friend Sheila's shirt. Don't rip it."
You can't rip Sheila's shirt.
Isn't that nuts?
Please don't. After I'm dead, she might want it back.
Yeah.
She's
going to want to know what happened to it.
She met Frank at 13, so she's 14 right now. 14 years
17 months. Yeah.
14 years old.
No, I know. I'm doing the math. 17 months. Okay.
A 14-year-old is more concerned about her friend Sheila's shirt getting ripped.
Well, that's a good friend.
Please don't rip it. It's Sheila's shirt. Please don't rip it. Rhonda asked me, and this is what he said years later. Rhonda asked me, "Is this for real?" And I told her, "Yes." And she said, "Are you going to do anything about it?" Said Henley. That was enough, though, for Henley. Henley, he is now uncuffed. He is ordered to rape Rhonda, one of his best friends, and he has had enough. He's just been threatened with a .22 caliber gun. And keep in mind, Dean is naked right now. He is straddling this other boy, this Tim guy. So he does not have access to this gun. He put the gun on the side table, and that was a very bad mistake.
Yep.
I'd say.
Now, think about it. I mean, this is over. Wayne Henley, like his father, is an abusive drunk, hated him, beat him. He, the whole time, was looking for a father figure. Dean is twice, his age. He's nice to him. He lets him come over there and they party and stuff, and they get along really well, and he treats them really well. To him, that's his father. So at this point, this is literally, like someone said earlier, a good versus evil type of situation at this point. This is literally his father. He doesn't really know his fucking father. His father's drunk, doesn't even live with him, whatever. But Dean's more of a father to him. He's been there every day. Okay, so, we got in this scheme where I'm selling kids to go to California, whatever, $200. Okay, I guess you're killing them, whatever. You're still the person I have. So now he's got to man up in this battle of good versus evil where he's got to say, okay, this is enough. And Dean obviously had not thought that he would go and do this, that he would rebel, because he let him, handcuff free. And he is straddling Tim right now, prepared to insert himself in him. Has no idea where the gun is. He trusted Wayne that much. Not trusted him, but just knew that his son wouldn't do do that? Tim started screaming. Rhonda passes out again. She's begging, are you going to do anything about it? End quote. And then something switched in Wayne, high school dropout, ninth grade dropout, nothing's huffing fucking paint, smoking, drinking, stealing. They were thieving. He's had police fucking after him. All of a sudden he said, fuck it. This is whatever line this is crossed.
Dean stood up and saw him change into a different person, Curly said. There was somebody else inside of him, and it wasn't him. It was a spirit from hell.
He got up and he grabbed that .22 caliber. Now he is the one in charge. Or is he? Because is he really going to shoot his father figure? You know what I'm saying? But as of now, he's the one in charge, or at least he thinks he is. I want to say Tim Curley in 2008, he told ABC News, quote, when someone ties you to a board, the odds are pretty good that you are not going to walk out of there, end quote.
I'd say.
Tim is screaming. Wayne gets up and he grabs the gun. He doesn't know what he's going to do with it. All he knows to do is point at fucking Dean. That's all he knows. Point at fucking Dean. He's never even fired a fucking firearm before. Point at Dean. He didn't have Call of Duty. He doesn't do headshots and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? He just points it at him. And the one thing you do not do if you want to kill someone is look them in the eyes. You never do that. You never look them in the eyes. So he was doing that. He was looking in his eyes, because Dean got up. Obviously, he's butt naked on top of this man, and he gets up fully erect, naked, and he's like, what? What are you gonna fucking do? You gonna fucking shoot me? You gonna fucking do this? You're too much of a pussy. You're not gonna fucking shoot. I mean, like, can you imagine that dude? You saw a photo of him dead. That's what he was like. At this point, Rhonda passes out again. She disassociates, leaves her body. She would later say that she was naked and ashamed, which, is a natural human reaction if you're naked, and literally Adam and Eve shit, right? Like, if, it's crazy because, like, when people die like that, like commit suicide, like they want to be in the best clothes possible. They don't want to be ashamed, even though it's not going to fucking matter. They're dead, She was naked and ashamed. But, whatever. For her, that's nothing new. Several of her foster fathers saw her like that and took advantage of it. He jumps up. Do it, Wayne. Kill me. Now he's sitting there butt naked, erection. Do it. You won't fucking do it. Sorry, I'm getting a really...
This is like weird, but okay.
I didn't fucking eat today. I'm drunk. Okay, so I don't want to hear
wasted.
it.
Okay,
right. I am fucking wasted right now. So Wayne is holding this small caliber 22. That's nothing, man. A 22 caliber is fucking nothing. If he didn't have that one forehead shot, I don't know. Anyway, he is shaking. He's looking in Dean's eyes, his father figure of all those years. He's like, you're not going to fucking do it. You're too much of a pussy. Remember, Dean is this military guy, right? Big old guy. Wayne stalling. And all of a sudden, Dean rushes forward, naked, erect, and just running right at him.
That sounds terrifying. Like, to see that, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Erect part?
All of it.
Yeah,
Penis.
Pretty much. I mean,
from the book, The Man with Candy, quote, kill me, Wayne. He said, kill me. The boy backed away, but the powerfully built man charged after him. When they were only a few feet apart, Corll said, you won't do it. Henley pulled the trigger and pulled it again and again and again. Dean rushes forward, like I just said. Wayne closes his eyes and just pow, 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 pow. Empty the fucking, and it says there's times where you're still pulling the fucking trigger even though nothing's coming out. He probably pulled that trigger 20 times. Nothing's coming out. Every fucking round went into him. That's how close he was, though. I mean, this guy he never shot anything before. He wasn't aiming. He was just that fucking close. That close to being fucking killed. That's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah. I had Dean in a corner, and he told me, you won't kill me. I shot him coolly until I ran out of bullets. I shot him once in the forehead. My hand went down, and I shot him twice in the shoulder. I stepped aside. He ran through the door, and I shot him once in the back of the shoulder, twice in the small of the back to make sure he stayed shot.
Now, listen to this. I shot him once in the forehead. First shot, boom, that's the killer. Shot him once in the forehead. He ran through, he's running full fucking speed, running at Wayne, full fucking speed, running at him. Shoots him in the fucking forehead. Dean still is running because the fucking adrenaline, right? Still running, shot in the forehead, and he just steps aside and lets him just go right there, fall right on the floor. Boom. Isn't that fucking nuts?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking crazy, right?
Cute dead guy.
I mean,
yeah.
just right in the...
Deadguys.com.
Dude, right in the forehead.
Today's sponsor.
Like, Dean is 2 feet away from him, running full speed. Shot right in the forehead. Wayne steps aside, and he's obviously pumping more bullets in him. But he is still running. Shot in the forehead. Like, it hasn't processed, okay, you're dead now type of shit. Rhonda passes out again, but she wakes up, and it's like a whole different scene at this point. She had no idea what just happened. She was passed out during the time. She can feel the gag in her mouth, the blindfold. She's hearing this ruffling going on, but she doesn't really know what was happening. Wayne unties her, undoes the handcuffs, and she is just in a daze. She runs out the front door, or she makes her way that way, and she trips over Dean and gets that blood all over her. So that blood that was on his back.
That's where it came from.
That's where all that blood got through her clothes. Or not her clothes, but she put her clothes on after. She was naked. And then they just sat on the fucking porch.
Had a cigarette? Probably.
Wednesday morning
Coffee.
at 8 a.m. fucking Houston, sitting on the porch, smoking a cigarette.
Sounds like a proper end to a horror movie.
See? I was just going to say the same thing.
That's a good ending right
Like,
there.
Yeah.
Fucking what a day.
Yeah.
So wrapping this up, Tim Curley says that Henley made a weird statement to him while they were waiting for the police to interrogate him. Quote, he told me, if you wasn't my friend, I could get $200 for you.
Damn.
Isn't that crazy?
Still thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Gosh, he really wanted that $200.
Yeah.
So the police ask him, who is this? What the fuck? What is this? What's going on? Who is this guy? And then Henley says, well, I've been delivering him these boys for the past few years, and I can show you where 29 dead boys are buried.
Damn.
Yeah, in 3 different spots. So
I think he is an accomplice at that point. You know where the bodies are.
Yeah.
That's
right. If he was under the assumption that they had gone to California, or was like, oh, I have no idea where they are.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
it's like, I know where the bodies are.
Yeah.
Now I want to say, I put you remember Frank?
Yeah.
The kid, the 18-year-old, his body was recovered from High Island Beach. That was the first one stored there, because at this time, Dean had ran out of room, and quote, realized he had to do some rearranging before he could stow more bodies, end quote.
Oh.
So he stored them in a couple different places. We're going to go into his background in the next episode and, next week and talk about that. I want to show you this photo, though. This is pretty impressive, and this is pretty great. So the total is 29, but this is the photo that hit the front page of the news right here. You can see it in front of his house, the paper that says he helped kill 25 to 30 total in front of his house.
Wow.
They put that there. Isn't that fucking cool?
That is, yeah.
Isn't that fucking awesome? Like right in front of the house.
Now that is how to sell a home.
But it's kind of interesting that the paper people didn't realize that's where it was, because there's other days of papers.
I think they did that on purpose.
I
man.
don't know.
I don't know, man. I mean, come on. You don't think that they did that on purpose?
Well done.
Yeah.
We can go over Wayne Henley another day, but I want you to read this one last quote from him, and then we'll wrap it up.
My only regret is that Dean isn't here now, so I could tell him what a good job I did killing him.
Oh.
So that's the story.
Oh, mic drop. Yeah. Damn.
We will go over Dean Corll in the next episode, the whole thing. But and now you really kind of know, you're primed to really know his background.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
You saw him drag this boy by his fucking back pocket into the house. I mean, he's a monster.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you guys like that. I know it's kind of weird how I did it. I hope it turned out right. I know I started at the end, but yeah, that was a request from Austin.
Shane,
Yeah.
what up, dude?
And we'll cover. I'm not going to be like Charlie Manson. Dude, I am not going to be like that anymore. So if you don't know,
John has not completed part 2 of Charlie Manson.
So I was asked to do Charlie Manson. So I did like the Sharon Tate murder, and then that's it. Okay. I didn't even mention Manson. Yeah.
Still to come.
So like my part 1s, like usually it's like a podcast is part 1 and then part 2. It's like part 1 and then like 30 episodes go by and then a random part 2. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? Gotcha. Anyway, I'm not going to be like that anymore. I will do this next week, I promise. But that's the story. That's it. That's what happened. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoy that. And until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.